Hello and welcome to the WP Builds newsletter. This is newsletter number 53, which covers the WordPress weekly news for the week commencing the 4th of March 2019, and it was published on the 11th of March 2019. Just a couple of things before we start. Everything I'm about to say is wpbuilds.com/something. If you go to /subscribe, you can find all of the places where we keep in touch with you. We've got a newsletter, Facebook group, Slack channel, and various other things. So if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, then go to /subscribe. /deals to get yourself cash off loads and loads of WordPress plugins. There's absolutely loads on there, so if you're in the market for buying some new stuff, go and check that one out. /webinars if you want to join us on a webinar. We've got a few coming up. We've got Lifter LMS, we've got Social Web Suite and Groundhog. /contribute if you would like to come on a short recording with me to show our audience something that you've done that you're very proud of. /win if you would like to take part in our latest competition. At the moment we've got a themify.me competition which is going until the 12th of March. And the very last one that I want to mention is /advertise. If you would like to advertise on our podcast or on this news bulletin, we've got banner ads and we've got audio ads. The WP Builds podcast is brought to you today by Kinsta. Are you tired of unreliable or slow hosting? If so, check out Kinsta, who takes managed WordPress hosting to the next level. Powered by the Google Cloud Platform, all their plans include PHP 7, SSH and 24/7 expert support. Migrate today for free at kinsta.com. And we thank Kinsta for their support of the WP Builds podcast. So, shall we get stuck into it and delve into the news items that we've got this week? They're lumped into different sections. The first one is all about WordPress Core, and the first article that I've got today is on the make.wordpress.org website, and it's entitled Introducing the WordPress Triage Team. Now, back in 2018, when Matt Mullenweg did the State of the Word address, he had 9 projects which he thought were going to represent the bulk of the work going forwards. One of them was to tackle the 6,500 core Trac tickets which were open, and essentially one of the things which was decided was really nobody knew what to tackle next or what was the most important. So now we have a team which is made up initially of 5 people who are going to lead the triage team. We've got Jonathan Desrosiers, Chris Christoph, Tammy Lister, Sergey Biryakov, and Sherry Bijlow. I'm not sure I've pronounced those names correctly. Nevertheless, there are 5 of them, and it is their job to set some short-term goals for the first half of this year, and then some longer-term goals, and hopefully get those 6,500 tickets into some kind of order, get some priority on them, and thereby reduce them. That would be nice for all of us. Okay, the next one today comes from the WP Tavern, and it's called Global WordPress Translation Day, set for March the 11th, 2019. Now, WordPress translates itself into 186 different languages, and that's a lot. And this kind of effort to keep it all translated is done by the Polyglots team, and it's hard work trying to keep up with everything, and so they've had a few of these before. I think the last one was in 2017, but they've got another one coming up on Saturday the 11th of May 2019. It's a 24-hour virtual and in-person event. So my suggestion would be, if this is something that interests you, you've got skills with various different languages, then maybe you could go to this article linked in the show notes and get yourself onto that team in preparation for the event in May. That would be really good and obviously benefits all of us in the long run. Okay, the next one is all about Classic Press. It's on the speckyboy.com website. I don't know if you remember, but just before WordPress 5.0 came out, there was all the furore about Gutenberg and how the update to WordPress 5.0 had been handled and the governance of WordPress, if you like. Well, there was a fork made, which is totally fine, by Scott Bowler of WordPress, and he called it Classic Press. The idea was that it was going to have nothing to do with the block editor at all. It was simply going to maintain the classic editor, as it's now called, and then move forward, hopefully trying to keep some compatibility until 2020 with WordPress. Well, it's really, this article is just about that, about how that project is going, how they've got an ambitious target of getting 1 million installs over the next year or so, and the fact that they've turned the focus of it to something more business related. The idea being that businesses don't want something that is going to have changes which are going to be quite critical. So they want stability. So that's the direction that they've taken, and they emphasize at great length the democratic nature of the updating process that they've got. You can read more about it on the Specky Boy website, but if the democratization of WordPress is of interest to you, then maybe that article will be. Okay, the next one under the title of WordPress is over at the w3techs.com website. It's a real blast from the past. It really looks like this website could do with some updating. Nevertheless, there's one key thing to take out of it, and that is to say that WordPress now genuinely does, according to the statistics on this page at least anyway, it uses the top 10,000 websites, 33.3% of them are now running WordPress. So it's now official, according to this at least anyway, that a third of the internet is running on WordPress. So there you go, fascinating stuff. You can say that in all your client meetings from now on and be absolutely sure it's true. Okay, the next couple of articles fall under the umbrella of community, and the first one is over at the securi.net website. The article is entitled Website Hack Trend Report 2018. They are a very large company dealing with malware and cleaning up websites and all of that kind of stuff, and they've gathered a whole load of data from January to December 2018 and put it together in this report, which you can download, but most of it is on the website itself. And, well, you might expect this statistic. 90% of the CMS infections that they dealt with this year were to do with WordPress. The other lines on the bar chart are tiny in comparison. 90% for WordPress, 4.6% for the next one, which was Magento, and Joomla at 4.3%, and then they trail off to almost invisibility after that. But that is really largely to do with the fact that WordPress has the biggest install base. However, having said that, it did go up from 83% in 2017 to 90% in 2018. So, from that point of view, that got a little bit worse. What is quite interesting, though, is that the outdatedness of a CMS, WordPress fares quite well. The fact that WordPress has a more or less automated update process, you basically click a button, don't you? Although you can have that all ticking over all automatically. That means that WordPress fares really well. So, for example, 97.2% of infections on PrestaShop were to do with outdated versions, and things like Magento, it was 83%, Drupal, it was 63%, and WordPress, the smallest line of all, 36.7%. So that's really good. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, really. Also, data in this article all about blacklisting analysis. It turns out that most infections that they dealt with, the websites hadn't been picked up on blacklists. So even though this is there to protect us, and there's all these companies who provide blacklist data, well, they were only catching about 11% of the sites that Securi had caught. It does heaps more data in this article than I've just mentioned, but that gives you a gist of it. I think it's quite good to read this stuff because your clients at some point are going to ask, is a website built on WordPress going to be secure? And having some of this data and figuring out how you can tackle that might be worth looking at. Speaking of security, we had Oliver Sild on the other week, and this is just a little pointer towards their blog. It's called the Web Security Blog. You can find it by clicking on the link in the show notes, and they've begun this recently. And they've got a whole load of articles about web security and firewalls and WordPress firewalls, and they update us about new vulnerabilities that have been found. So I would say that's probably somewhere to go if you're into security. Okay, the next 3 or 4 or 5, something like that, are all to do with plugins and themes. The first one is to do with Elementor. They have an article entitled Introducing the Ultimate Freehand Design Experience, because they have decided that they're going to allow you to have much more flexibility with your layouts. For example, you can now do side-by-side widgets. You can move elements using absolute positioning. Careful, watch what you do there. But yes, you can move things so that they absolutely stay where you want them. You can pin elements using the fixed position. You have new options over how things are horizontally aligned. You can have space between, space around, and so on. Vertical alignment options as well, and a whole heap more. So essentially, Elementor is on the charge when it comes to design, and you've got a whole heap of new stuff since the 4th of March. So go check that out if you're an Elementor user, because there's now a whole load of extra menu items and buttons that you can press to make your designs look great. If you want to get your assets, your images, your videos, so that they're not sitting on your hosting and you want to put them into the cloud somewhere, then a good solution for that is WP Offload Media. Up until now, you've been able to upload your media directory, your media library, to either Amazon S3 or DigitalOcean Spaces. Well, as of this latest release, which is version 2.1, you can now choose Google Cloud Storage. I won't go into the detail. There are some advantages of having Google Cloud Storage. There are some disadvantages. For example, it's a little bit more expensive, but the geolocation options with Google are apparently very good. Anyway, if you want to offload your assets and media library to the cloud in some way, well, that plugin just got a whole lot better if you like to use Google things. Okay, this next one can be found over at WPMU Dev website. If you use their client report option, you've got a new feature in there. Client reports are something that you can send out to your clients so that they see that you've been busy on their behalf. Good for things like care plans, and you can show things like, well, this month we updated this plugin and that plugin. They also now include analytics data. Now, this is not connected to Google Analytics. They have their own analytics option, which you enable just by clicking a button. There's nothing extra to download. So you click a button and it will start gathering up the analytics data into the client report and send a nice graph with this month's statistics against last month's statistics, and then a whole load of information in little squares beneath. So, for example, the number of visits, unique visits, page views, and so on. So if you're a WPMU Dev user and you use that feature, then that's going to be useful to you. Okay, the next one is the Page Builder Framework. We've got an article entitled Page Builder Framework 2.0 Beta. Well, they've got a whole new load of updates and they would like some help testing them out. They want feedback so that when this comes out, there are hardly any bugs and they've all been reported and so on. But the features are, there's new amendments to the blog layouts, there's accessibility enhancements, there's footer and pre-header settings, there are logo settings, improved size controls, and some updates to the premium add-on 1.1.2 beta as well. So if you're a Page Builder Framework user, which I know lots of you are, then this is exciting. There's some new beta stuff which you might want to test out and then report back to David, tell him what you found, and hopefully get 2.0 out the door sooner rather than later. This is a piece from WP Builds, OS. We had a podcast this week entitled We Know Nothing About Pricing, and I'm just letting you know that that existed. David and I rambled on about the fact that there are so many different ways that you can price your websites, be it value pricing or just a price up front, and had a nice frank discussion about what we've done in the past, what's worked and what hasn't. So go and click on that and check it out. Okay, the last piece I've got for you today is nothing to do with WordPress. It's actually, oddly, on the WPMU Dev site, but nothing particularly to do with WordPress. And it's to say that, look, if you are a user of Google+, it's going away. I have no doubt that somewhere lurking in your arsenal of client websites, there will be Google+ logos. You will have installed social plugins that that allow Google Plus to be clicked as an option. So really, you've got just over a month to go and clean that stuff up. Go and find where those toggle switches are to switch Google Plus on, and go and switch it off in preparation for its shutdown very, very soon. Right, that's it for the news. I hope that you managed to get something useful out of that. The WP Builds podcast was sponsored today by Kinsta. Kinsta takes managed WordPress hosting to the next level. Powered by the Google Cloud Platform, your site is secured like Fort Knox and runs on speed obsessive architecture. You get access to the latest software and developer tools such as PHP 7, SSH and staging environments. The best part, their expert team of WordPress engineers are available 24/7 if you need help. And you can migrate today for free at kinsta.com. And we really do thank Kinsta for their support of the WP Builds podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you on Thursday for the regular podcast. If not, we'll catch you back here next Monday for the WP Builds news. Bye-bye for now.